Okay, class, picking up where we left off at, our common denominator or least common denominator is 12. So we took 2/3 and multiplied it by 4/4. Now, since we already had 12 here, it's the same as taking 7/12 and multiplying it by 1/1. 2 times 4 is 8, 3 times 4 is 12. 7 times 1 is 7, 12 times 1 is 12. So that means that 2/3 is greater than 7/12. Now, we look here at number 3. We have 7/10 and we have 5/6. Common denominator of 10 and 6 is 30. So we could take 7/10 times 3/3 because we know 10 times 3 is 30. And we could take 5/6 and we know 5/5 because 6 times 5 is 30. So we will have 21/30 and we will have 25/30. So we know that 7/10 is less than 5/6. And just to let you know a little footnote about the inequality symbol, it always points to the number that's the lowest. So it always points to the lower number. Now we come here to 12 and 16. The common denominator of 12 and 16 is 48. So we would take 5/12 times 4/4. And we will have 7/16 times 3/3 because 12 times 4 is 48 and 16 times 3 is 48. So this will give us 20/48 and this will give us 21/48. So that means that 5/12 is less than 7/16. Now we go to section F. It says find the perimeter of the rectangle. First thing you have to do before you do anything is know the formula of the perimeter. Now the formula of the perimeter is 2 lengths plus 2 widths. So we will substitute. Our length is 5/6 and our width is 3/8. So now we have perimeter is equal to 2/1 times 5/6 plus 2/1 times 3/8. So now we multiply. 2 times 5 is 10, and that's over 1 times 6 is 6. Plus 2 times 3 is 6, and 1 times 8 is 8. Now we can find the common denominator of 6 and 8, which would be 24. So we have the perimeter is equal to 10/6 times 4/4 plus 6/8 times 3/3. So we have our perimeter is equal to 40/24 plus 18/24. Now when we add these together, we get 58/24. Now 58 and 24, they both have 2 in common. So we could divide the numerator and denominator by 2. And your perimeter is 29/12 feet. Now, because they didn't ask us to write this as a mixed number, we could leave our perimeter as this being the final answer. But if we were asked to write this as a mixed number, we could take 12 into 29. It goes in twice. So 29 minus 24 leaves you a remainder of 5. So your final answer could be 2 and 5/12 feet. So either one of these answers is acceptable. Now we go down here to 2. It says the following diagram represents a scale drawing of a room. Find the width of the door. Now if you look here, this side and this side is the same length. So what happens is the door, the scale drawing of the door, is this value, which is 3/4, minus the addition of these two values. And this will give you the width of the door. So we would basically take 3/4 minus, in parentheses, we'd take 1/4 plus 1/3. Now the common denominator of 4 and 3 we know is 12. So we add 3/4. And in parentheses we add 1/4 times 3/3 plus 1/3 times 4/4. We have to make that denominator equal to 12. So this will give us 3 twelfths plus 4 twelfths. So we have 3 fourths minus 7 twelfths. Now the common denominator of 4 and 12, we know is 12. So we have 3 fourths times 3 over 3 minus 7 twelfths. Now 3 times 3 we know is 9, and 4 times 3 is 12. Minus. Now you can write the times 1 over 1, but since this already have a denominator of 12, we could just bring that down. So now we have 9 twelfths minus 7 twelfths, which will give us 2 twelfths. Now one thing I forgot to do up here was put these equal signs here. Now with 2 twelfths, we can simplify that by dividing the numerator and denominator by 2. So that would give us 1/6, and that would be feet. So that is the width of the door. Now we move to problem 3. It says the circle graph below shows the results of a survey of 300 registered voters. Okay, now we have people that voted Democrat, Republican, Independent, and didn't plan to vote at all. Okay, it says what fraction of those surveyed said that they will vote for the candidate from one of the two major parties, Democrat or Republican. So now what we have to do is we have to add the Republican, which is 1/3, plus the Democrat, which is 2/5. So now we need to find the common denominator of 1/3 and 2/5, which we know is 15. So it'd be 1/3 times 5 over 5 plus 2/5 times 3 over 3. 1 times 5 is 5, and 3 times 5 is 15. Plus 2 times 3 is 6, and 5 times 3 is 15. Now we add them together, and that will give us 11/15. Now, for B, it says how many of those surveys said they will vote for the candidate from one of the two major parties. Now, what we need to do is up here it tells us the survey was out of 300 registered voters. So what we want to do here, we want to get an actual tally of the 300, how many of them will vote Democrat or Republican. So we would take 300 and multiply by the fraction we got in A, because that was how many people, the fraction of the people that will vote Democrat or Republican. So to multiply this out, we'll put 300 over 1. So 300 times 11 is 330, and 1 times 15 is 15. Now, both of these have 15 in common. 15 divided by 15 is 1, and 330 divided by 15 is 22. So 22 over 1, well, actually, it should be not 22. It should be, actually, I wrote this wrong. This should be actually 3,300 divided by 15, which would give us 220. So it should be 220 votes. This is how many votes you had. 220 votes will go to the Democrat or the Republican. Okay, now, it says if those who said they don't plan to vote could be persuaded by the independent candidate to vote for him, what fraction of the voters surveyed would now be voting for the independent candidate? Okay, so what we would do now, what we found out is this here, that the independent candidate had 1/10 of the vote, and if the independent candidate is able to convince the people that are planning not to vote, it'd be 1/10 plus 1/6. Okay, now we need to find the common denominator of 10 and 6, which is 30. So we have 1/10 times 3 over 3 plus 1/6 times 5 over 5. 1 times 3 is 3. 10 times 3 is 30. 1 times 5 is 5. And 6 times 5 is 30. So now, we will have here 3 30ths plus 5 30ths, which is 8 over 30. Now, we have to find a common factor, the greatest common factor of 8 and 30, which happens to be 2. So we divide both by 2, and we will be left with 4/15. So that will be our fractional answer here. Now we scroll down, and we go here to D. It says, after the change described in Part C, how many of those surveyed will now be voting for the independent candidate? So you have to take 4/15 times the total amount of people that voted, which was 300. You will put it over 1. 4 times 300 is 1,200. And 15 times 1 is 15. Now we simplify this here. We add 1,215. Both can be divided by 15. Now let's just say that you're not able to do this problem where you could, voila, just pull it out of your head like it's 15. What we could do is this here. We could just divide both of these numbers by 5 starting out. Let's try this before we just divide it by 15. We could divide both of these numbers by 5. 15 divided by 5 is 3. And 1,200 divided by 5 is 240. Now we could divide both of these by 3. 240 divided by 3 is 80. And 3 divided by 3 is 1. So your final answer here is 80 votes. Now, if you went back up here and divided by 15, it still would just give you 80 over 1, which is still just 80. And that is your final answer for D. And we're done.